Hello, new interns. We are back for another interview, and today we're going to be interviewing Natalie Benincasa. And Natalie is a marketing intern for Geojam, but I'm not going to tell you what type of an intern she is or what type of a company that is either. She'll explain it all real soon. But first things first, Natalie, thank you for coming. I want to ask, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. End of the day, so I'm very, very happy that work's over, and I'm sure you are as well. So
Yeah, thanks for having me.
yeah, of course. And to get us started, I definitely want to ask Natalie to learn more about you. Where are you from, and where'd you grow up?
So I'm from Lake Forest, which is right by Irvine and Mission Viejo, so in Southern California. So in the Orange County area, and then I just moved to Fullerton this past year for school.
Awesome. Well, and then that was the next question, which is, where are you going to school? You're going to CSU Fullerton. But what are you majoring in, minoring in, and when are you expected to graduate?
So my major is in communications, and I have an emphasis in public relations, and I am scheduled to graduate May of 2024. So currently I'm a junior.
Awesome. Wow, you're getting close.
Yeah, almost there.
How have you liked the culture, the social culture at your school, as well as the academics? How's that?
Fullerton in general has amazing professors. It's mostly a commuter school. I commuted my first 2 years, and this is my third year, and I decided finally to move up here just because my internship's in LA, so I'm closer than my hometown. That's also why I moved up here, and I really love my classes and everyone that's in it. I switched my major actually 3 months ago, so I used to be in communicative sciences and disorders for speech pathology, and then I just made the change in August to switch to communications with an emphasis in PR. So the classes from that compared to my communications classes are completely different because everyone is so much more talkative and we like to do pitches and stuff. So I really like it because I love to talk to people. I'm a big people person, so.
That's awesome. So it was worth it, obviously, coming to the school in person.
Yeah.
Great. And a lot of people, they'll switch majors, but way too late. I mean, I guess it's never too late, but I'm glad it sounds like you did it at the right time.
Yeah.
And, in terms of what you like to do in your free time, what are some hobbies you have or even time wasters? What do you do with your time when it's not something necessarily academically productive? What do you like doing?
I like to watch Netflix with my roommates. We really are big into Survivor. That's our big thing.
Oh, okay.
I also really like TikTok, and it's also a good thing because my job has a lot to do with TikTok. So going on it, I can look at new trends and stuff while also enjoying it, but also being able to give feedback to the company. So it's a win-win situation because it feels like I'm working, but I'm not working. And who doesn't like TikTok?
Right. Exactly. But it's hard, right? Because sometimes you forget maybe that you're exploring things for your job and you get sucked down the TikTok rabbit hole. No, but I get what you mean.
Yeah, but I'm on TikTok probably 4 or 5 hours a day. I'm in love with TikTok, but I'm okay with it. I don't really count as a time waster because I thoroughly enjoy being on it. I like making content on it. I just like it a lot.
Okay, you're engaged with the app more than just. I'm pretty guilty of spending many hours on it, but really with no productive reason underlying it. So
I mean, I learned a lot from TikTok. So
yeah, no, I think if you watch the right videos, for sure. And for your role, Natalie, could you tell me what's your job title and who are you working for, and essentially who are they?
Okay.
This company.
Okay, so my official title is I'm a social media marketing intern, and I would say more just marketing in general, not just social media. And I work for Geojam. So Geojam is also a cryptocurrency, so it's a whole business. And
cool.
They also have an app, so it is a tech company. So they just switched from a music app to now a complete social media platform. So that's what I've been working on because it literally launched like a month after I joined. So I was kind of just thrown into it and then trying to find out marketing strategies on how we were going to get people in our target audience, mostly Gen Z, to download the app and get on it. And yeah.
So just to understand more about this, about Geojam, Geojam, you're saying, is a cryptocurrency as well as a company, obviously, but they originally were using a music app, or they were a music app?
They were a music app.
And at the time that they were a music app, were they also a cryptocurrency or no?
Yeah. So they have their own token.
Oh, and how were they? What was the music app? Because I typically think of like Spotify and Apple Music come to mind, but I'm not sure that that's what this company was doing.
So it was where it's kind of like with Spotify now, how you could like share playlists within your friends and stuff. So like people would have your profile and you'd have all the music that you would like, and you got to connect with people, and also like it connected like creators, like their fans with their creators. So they did a bunch of like giveaways with like 24K Golden and Mariah Carey.
Yeah. Okay. And so they've totally pivoted into a new type of app. And what's this new one that they're promoting?
So actually, they just came out with this new app, and it's a complete social media platform. So it's kind of like a Discord where you have your own, like for example, like you could have your own category, like a dance category, and like you would invite your friends onto it, and then everyone would post just specifically dance. So and then it has like a feed. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's just about like creating like a community. So that's what it is, like creating communities.
And so, well, I'm gonna have to download that later to check it out for sure. And then I guess it cross promotes each other, right? The app kind of relates to the currency, and the currency relates back to the app.
Yeah, it was kind of like because Spotify. This was like before Spotify started doing like where you could share your playlist and make a profile, and your playlists were on it. That's what the point of Geojam was, because Spotify didn't have that yet. Then once Spotify picked up on it and started doing things like that, then they realized that they needed to kind of go with like the trends and what's really popular right now, like social media, because Spotify kind of already did that. So then they decided to switch to like a social media platform, and just really wanted to like make an app where like communities can come together. So then they came with that app, and then now we are making a complete new update on a brand new app. So it's going to be, so it's going to be an update on that app. That's why I'm trying not to talk so much about the other one, because we are completely changing it.
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't want you to say anything confidential, and then we have to scrap the interview. So yeah, no worries.
Not confidential whatsoever. I can talk about how we're doing a brand new upgrade of the entire app, which is super, super exciting, and something that we're really like looking forward to market to colleges and high schools. So
awesome. Well, then we're going to get into it. And I typically don't grill people so much on this first section, but I'm really, really interested in the company in Geojam, the company you're working for. It sounds like, well, first of all, Spotify came in, they totally hopped on the trend, and since they're already huge, right, so they kind of stole that idea. But now that they've switched into this other social media type app, they're already thinking of another app. And so is Geojam considered primarily a company that creates apps? Is it a startup that's just trying to break out into like the media industry that happens to be a cryptocurrency, or is it primarily a cryptocurrency? How would it be like defined, basically?
So I think right now it's primarily known as a cryptocurrency, but it's still a tech startup when it comes to app development and things like that, because I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to create an app where they can use their cryptocurrency on the app. So like using it as like TikTok gifts, like things like that, but using their cryptocurrency. So kind of just doing like a double whammy.
Yeah, got it. That makes a lot of sense.
So like if you like get on the app and things, like you could like get Jam, which is their token.
Oh, sweet. Cool. And so when you were, let's say, applying for this role, when you got it, did you apply on a job site, or did you have a referral, let's say from like a friend, or were you reached out to by Geojam? How did you kind of come into this position?
So that's actually a crazy little experience right there, because it was not in the typical way of like finding, a job posting on LinkedIn or something like that. I actually was taking an entertainment and tourism class this past semester, and I had to do a professional profile. So I had to write like a 10-page essay on somebody in the entertainment world. And my mom's actually like friends with her dad, so the CEO. Her name is Sarah. So my mom is friends with her dad.
Your mom's with the CEO's dad.
Yeah, the CEO's dad.
Okay.
So I texted my mom, because my mom is really into like travel agencies. So I was like, oh, do you have anybody that I can interview for my professional profile? And she said, actually, like my good friend, like his daughter is huge, a big CEO for this big company in Beverly Hills. And I was just like, wow. And she works with one of the main investors is Mariah Carey. So I was like, oh wow, like I definitely want to do that. And so I, out of whammy, my mom told her dad and was like, do you think like my daughter could get an interview with her? And he was like, no, like she's so busy, but she can try. And I was like, okay. So then I got her phone number. I texted her. I sent her a picture of myself. I'm like, hey, like I would love to interview you. Like, because I did so much research on her, and she's amazing. She's had like 4 companies, like ever since she was like 18 years old. So yeah, and she works with these big celebrities and influencers. So straight into the entertainment world. So I was like, okay, like I'm going to do it. So she ended up getting back to me, and she was like, instead of like a Zoom interview or something, she was like, I want you to come up to our headquarters, and I want you to like give you a tour in Beverly Hills. And I'm like, sure, definitely, I'll be there. So I drove up there. I ended up interviewing her, and like in the middle of the interview, like I have the recording, she was like, she just told me, like, you know what, like I want you to talk to my assistant. Like I want you to talk to my assistant, because she was going to get me onto their college ambassador program, which you just post for your school and like you do marketing through that way. And I was like, yeah, sure. Then I went and talked to her assistant, and then she was like, no, like I want you to like do you have a job? Like we need you to work here.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because when I was interviewing her, I was kind of throwing it out there, like what she does is literally my dream job. Like I would love to work in social media and just post and be a content creator pretty much like as my job. And it's amazing. So I just told her how passionate I was about it, and then she could just tell that this is what I wanted to do. So she was like, I want you to do it. And I was like, sure. I just on the spot I took it. I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I couldn't say no.
That is all, and that was after the interview when you talked to the assistant.
Yeah, like we finished the interview, and then I went downstairs, and her assistant was there. She was going to sign me up for the college ambassador program, things like that. And then she came in and she was like, no, like you need to do you have a job? Like you need to work here. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it.
That was totally meant to be.
That was crazy.
And so how long did you say? You asked your mom if she happened to know anyone, and how long from reaching out, by phone, was it like a week you got a response, and then another week planning the trip? How much kind of time had elapsed? What was the timeline on all of this, if you can remember roughly? Because I know.
So I texted her, and then I would say probably 2 days later she responded to me, and then probably I'd say like 4 days from when she responded to me, I drove up there and I interviewed her, which was insane because my mom actually came with me to the interview, and she just like stayed in the car. So I did the interview. When I came out, I told my mom, and she's like, how'd it go? I go, oh, I got a job. My mom's like, what? Like, yeah, because once I start talking, I can't stop. So.
Right. No, but the assistant, and the CEO. And what's her name? The CEO of Geojam, or can that be released?
Or? No, her name is Sarah.
Sarah. Okay, yeah, that's public knowledge.
Her name is Sarah Figueroa. Yeah, that's the CEO.
They saw that you were not only interested but clearly capable. So I love hearing that, and that's an interesting story.
Yeah,
for sure. Now, during this period, you weren't actually in a job searching mode necessarily, or had you been sending out rounds of applications, or not at this time?
So I got the job in October, and during that time, I honestly was not looking for a job whatsoever because I had a previous internship, which I can get into later. I had a previous internship that summer, and I literally stopped working there in August when I moved up to Fullerton because it was back in my hometown. And then from August, it was kind of like oh my gosh, I need to change my major. So I changed my major, and going through advisory meetings, I didn't know when I was going to graduate because I had taken all speech pathology classes. So during that time, it was all kind of hectic. I was still trying to figure my way out. It was super overwhelming because it was just all at once. All of this happened at once. And then I got this interview, and then I got the job. It was just like, it was kind of a little overwhelming because I was just putting my feet in the water to this new public relations and marketing. I had never even done anything like that. And then just to be thrown into that job too, it was kind of like I just had to adapt. So I wasn't looking for anything. If anything, I wasn't trying to look. I was trying to settle in. I had just moved out for the first time. I was kind of just trying to chill, but then I couldn't say no when she offered me it because it was way too good. It just felt like everything was coming together. It was like the most stressful part of my life, and it ended up all working out.
It paid off in an interesting way.
Oh yeah, it totally did. It was just like everything happens for a reason. That's what it was. Because I was in such a bad place, and then when all of this happened, it was kind of like, okay, I just needed to just go with the flow. I should have listened to my gut, and that's what I did, and it all worked out.
I'm actually really happy to hear that because I am one of the everything happens for a reason types of people, and we get a lot of criticism from people saying that isn't a thing. I believe it is. And my next question was going to be about what previous experience you had prior to this internship, in experience of any kind. And you were just mentioning that you were actually in a previous major in speech pathology, and you had taken all these different units specifically for that before transferring to your new major. Could you did explain it, but what sorts of jobs had you had prior to this? Any internships or other roles that you think that you had, or any that were relevant to the job you're in now?
So when I did my past internship, I was working at a pediatric clinic for speech pathology, physical therapy, all of that stuff. And so what I did for them was I would work in the office, and I would do PR. I would connect their clinic with other clinics, and I would send out, little PR packages and things like that, and I would do mailing lists. And in exchange for me doing those things, because it was all volunteer work, in exchange for me doing those, they would give me clinical hours. So I would go and I would sit with the kids, and I would watch them, how they interacted and stuff. And then while I wasn't doing that, I'd be in the office doing mostly PR things. And I always was the person, I could never do an office job. I could never do that. I always wanted to do a hands-on thing, kind of like that. And then I realized that when they were telling me to go and do my clinicals, I kind of wanted to sit back, and I wanted to stay in the office, and I wanted to be emailing the clinics and doing the mailing lists, and I actually loved it. And then that's when I realized, okay, yeah. I was like, yeah, I can't do this.
So in an interesting way, by doing that, you discovered, oh, that's so cool. That's what they're meant for, these internships.
It really is. That internship, if I hadn't done that internship, I always tell myself I would be in a whole different place right now. I would be doing speech pathology. I always say that learning about something and then actually doing it is two separate things. When I was learning, I loved the classes. Taking speech pathology classes, I learned phonetics. I literally loved it. I was so good at it. Then once I saw it in person and how those speech pathologies worked and all that, I was like, oh, heck no. I could never see myself doing that, ever.
Yeah.
And I was doing PR, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm actually, really good at this. Everyone's like, have you done this before? And I'm like, no. And they're like, you're really good at this. And then they had, a social media role coming up, and I was kind of jealous. I was like, oh, I'd rather do the social media than be a speech pathologist. Right. And then that's when I realized, and at the end of that internship, I was just honest with all of them. I'm like, this internship, like people were like, oh my gosh, like that was such a waste of time. Like I did 3 months in summer at that place not getting paid, and I said, if like that was so worth it. That was the most worth it thing I've ever done, actually.
Oh yeah. Were there actually people who said that to you, like that it was a waste of time, or
Oh
like
yeah.
implied that?
Oh yeah. Like even my
Oh my
parents were like,
gosh.
"Oh my gosh, like so you did all that for nothing?"
Oh
Because I came out of it and they're thinking like, "Oh my gosh, like you loved it so much," which I did love it, but I loved it for a different reason. So,
yeah.
but
I-
most everyone told me that it was like a waste of time that I did all those things, and then I just realized when people are like, "Oh, do like internships, like float around," like you need to do an internship because if you don't, you don't even know if like you're actually gonna genuinely enjoy it.
I would love to hear what those people are saying now.
Well, yeah,
Um,
they're shocked.
so, and then just briefly, okay, it was a 3 month long internship last summer with that clinic, which, by the way, those clinical hours I know they're super, super valuable in any of those fields
I
that
got a lot of
require it.
them.
So that was a good internship regardless. How, how did you come into that position, that internship?
So that one was just, so I had heard to go into grad school that you had to have clinical hours, like to actually apply to grad school, they want experience, and it was kind of freaking me out. And I knew that I had nothing to do over the summer, and I really wanted to get some hands-on experience. So I did it the old school way. I basically just cold called people. I direct messaged them on Instagram. I just pitched myself. I said, "Look, I'm Natalie. Like this is my major. I'm this in school, and I want to work at your place because I can do this and this for you." I did that maybe a month before summer. I mean, I emailed, I direct messaged probably like 35 different clinics from all over Orange County, and she responded. I got on a call, and she's like, "Yeah, for sure. Like, we're looking for some volunteers." Because I told them, I said, "You don't have to pay me anything. You don't have to pay me anything. Like, just by giving me these clinical hours, like, I'm just so grateful."
Yeah.
So yeah, she ended up just calling me, and she's like, "You want to go and tour the clinic?" I said, "Yeah." I went in there. She said, "Yeah, you can come." We set my schedule and everything. So it was really about just being like, "Do you guys need help? I can help you." Yeah.
And even that is really cool. The fact that you actually reached out to, some 35 pediatric clinics in the Orange County area. Most people, we're just satisfied with when you said old-fashioned way, I thought you meant, oh, you sent bulk applications out, but you actually went a step further and did what I consider to be the modern way, which
Yeah,
is
actually, yeah.
reaching out directly on Instagram. So really, really cool that you're not settling for like the old school way, and it's working.
Yeah,
Super
it
cool.
definitely works. You'd be surprised how much, like, just by like texting somebody if they need help, half the people, they want help. Like any just side person, just be there and just be like, I'll answer emails for you. I'll do this for you. Like, why not? It's an extra person, an extra helping hand for completely free. I mean, why not? So
And at minimum, they'll check the
yeah,
message because they need help. Yeah.
and I added a lot of like networking through that too. Like, I'm still really good friends with all of the therapists that I met, the office lady, like, still great. Like, so you never know. Maybe I'll meet people through them as well.
Totally could, and you always have a fallback. No, but I know you've switched for a good reason.
Yeah, it's crazy also through networking too, because one of the therapists that I worked with, one of the occupational therapists, I actually got a job through her in the summer too, babysitting her kids. So I ended up getting paid too in the job.
Stuff works out like
It
that.
really does.
So, moving towards your position now that you've had for around 4 or 5 months, is that correct?
5 months this month, yeah.
Awesome. Are you currently so I'd imagine, is it part-time or full-time?
So I'm part-time and I work hybrid.
Okay. Ooh, that's hybrid's a good deal. You can actually be in the office but also enjoy your house.
Love it.
Now, are you working with other interns or more directly under a supervisor?
So, 2 months ago when I first started, I was working under a supervisor. So one of the employees, she would just, we would just be in communication every morning. She would tell me the tasks that I wanted to do, which calls to hop onto. And then now we're actually, I was kind of like one of the first interns, so they were kind of just testing out the whole internship world since they are a startup. That now
Uh-huh.
they are onboarding some more interns. So now I'm kind of like the old intern. Now we just got two new interns actually last week, which I love. So now it's more of a team kind of a thing. Like I'll go on calls with just them, and we'll think of ideas and things. So it's a lot different from where I was then. I was kind of working more alone, and which I didn't mind. And then now I'm kind of in more of a group thing, which I love communicating with others, especially other interns who are in college.
Yeah, and it takes a little bit of the liability off your decisions
Hmm.
when you're able to speak
Yes,
with others.
I totally agree with that.
Would you say that your work is more of a support role or more of a project oriented role or kind of a mixture of both?
I would definitely say both. I think like
Okay.
I help out with the graphic designer, so I'll work with the graphic designer, and then I'll also work hand in hand with the CEO herself, thinking of marketing strategies and things like that. But I also help with the dev, like our builds, like our app builds. So when the engineers go and they make the app, like I can get on the testing, and then I can give them feedback on bugs and things like that. So I'm working hand in hand with tech as well. I'm doing all of it.
Crazy.
Hmm.
That's crazy. You're right in it. Now, you mentioned three things. I heard web design, I missed the second, and the third, but I'm hoping now you can give me and everybody who will be watching this an overview as to what you do. Now, you just did give an overview, but a little bit more fleshed
Hmm.
out and more kind of anchored. So one area would be how you help the web developers, and the second area would be X. If you could give us an overview, that would be awesome. And if I'm looking down, it's because I'll be taking notes.
Okay, so the main thing that I do on like my everyday work is really marketing strategy. So what I'm working on right now is really doing focus groups. So getting consumer insights and trying to interview and pick our target audience's brain. So I've been getting people together for like ages 20 to like 25, trying to get some high schoolers in there. And, I show them the app of the new app, and I'll ask them, so what do you think this does? Trying to see if they'll know how to navigate the app, because that's very important. We're trying to get feedback not just from the people within the company. We need to branch out to who's going to be using our app. So I do a lot of focus groups, and then with the feedback that I get from there, I'll meet up with the interns, and we'll talk strategy. So they said that this is how people are going to get onto the app. So we'll kind of discuss that, and then we'll discuss how we're going to get this out to colleges and how we're going to market this on social media, um, things like that. We're really just trying to figure out a big marketing strategy to get people on the app when it does launch, when the brand new app launches.
Yeah. Oh, because that's
Hmm.
huge.
Yeah. So yeah.
Launching.
So just that, like marketing campaigns are a really big one. Like I this pa-
Do you
oh
do you have to do? I'm so sorry
no,
to
you're
cut
good.
you off. Do you have to do any? Before I do want to hear the end of that example. Do you have any like clerical duties you have to do? Let's say when you're in the office, do you have to? This is a
Mm.
poor example, but you have to print stuff, or is there any stuff like that, or is it mostly you get to just focus on the campaign stuff you were talking about?
Oh, okay. That's actually a good question. So now thinking about it, I really don't do, I guess, like the intern stuff you see on like getting people coffee and doing those things. Like I now thinking about it, I never even thought about that. Yeah, I don't do any of that. I'm just the person with the ideas. Like
That's huge.
so I'm like in it. It's also nice because the company isn't too big, so I am in the core. I am in the center of the core. Like I came up with a big marketing strategy for a big company like this, which is actually insane because like I just gave them a marketing strategy for like a big TikTok live we did with Nick.
Please, wait. I'm going to need more context on this. This is awesome. You're describing a past experience you
Yeah.
had at Geojam.
Yeah, so I came up with my first ever marketing campaign, which was huge because I was just throwing out ideas, and then we were trying to like think of what we were going to do for Christmas. Christmas is huge. You can do so much with it, especially because we have Mariah Carey. She's huge during Christmas. And Sarah's actually really good friends with Mariah Carey, so that's another reason why.
Oh my God.
So we were trying
Yeah.
to think of ways, and then I said that something that's really big right now, I feel like, is TikTok Live. So we decided to do a 25 days of a TikTok Live with Nick Antonian, which is Jonah from David's vlogs, David Dobrik. So yeah, so we actually got him, and he would come to the house, like our headquarters, and he would go on our TikTok, go live on our TikTok, and he would do like crazy challenges because also part of our, which I should have mentioned this, part of like our other app was, it was kind of like Nerve, you know, the movie Nerve, where there was dares.
Oh, roughly. I haven't seen it though.
So it was kind of like you could dare your friends with jam. So you would like put jam in to dare your friends to do something, and if they did something, they would get the jam. It would be like putting in like, yeah. So it was like yes, exactly. It was like a daring app. So that's what he would do. It's like on the people on the Geojam app would dare him to do things, and he would go on TikTok Live and he would go ahead and do them. So then the audience would be like, "What are you on?" And then that'd make them download it, and they would also download it so they could dare him. So yeah,
Cool.
so that's something that I came up with, and then they it was kind of like I came up with it, and then they put it to the, brought it to life.
Sure, they helped develop
Exactly.
the idea, but it was your idea to begin with. Because I was going to ask, how did you get Jonah from David Dobrik? But I'm sure that was a process that they were able to. They
It was
probably
actually Sarah had met him in, I think it was in college. It was really random. I said, one of my coworkers was showing her a picture and was like, "You should get him on." And she was like, "Oh my gosh, I know him." And then she had his phone number, which was so random. She's like, "You remember me from this one night?" And he was like, "Oh my gosh, yes." She threw him the idea. He was like, "Yeah, sure." Because at that time, nobody really knew who he was. This was like when he was like maybe like 2019. So it was kind of crazy. It was kind of like a whole, like, it was meant to be, and then it was like, he was perfect for it too, because he dressed up as Santa Claus. It was perfect.
And everybody loves him. All the people from David Dobrik's channels and stuff.
It went really well. We would get like 800 views on the TikTok Live, and we got a lot of downloads, and it also helped our TikTok in general. We got more followers on TikTok, and I thought it was really good, especially for my first actual campaign.
Yeah, especially that it was successful. And so when you came up with that, when you presented the idea, what did you, after that, and they helped develop it, were you more observing kind of the growth of it? Where did they put you to further contribute towards that idea?
So I actually came up with the idea on like a Google Meet. Like I was with a couple of the people on our, who do marketing with me, and, threw out the idea, and Sarah was like, "Yeah, I love it." So then when I went into office, she gave me like a presentation, and she just said like, "Pitch this to everybody." She gave me everything that I had written down. She made a huge thing, and then I had to pitch it to the company. So I had to, say, "Okay, this is what it is. This is how we're going to do it, blah, blah, blah." So I was the one who kind of, I presented the idea to everybody, and then everyone gave their feedback and said, "Oh, this would be a good idea, blah, blah, blah." And then once everyone was on board, then they kind of were like, "Okay, this is how we're going to do it. This is who we're going to get." So I kind of was in the planning of who we were going to get. As for like working hand in hand with him, not so much. And I was there for like one of the days that he did it, because I work mostly online. Like I go in like once a week. So
sure. Yeah. And so you mentioned that was a fantastic example of one of the campaigns you've proposed, and actually they did, and you did as well. Were there other campaigns you were a part of, or other examples you had, or was that a big one that occupied like most of your time at the
Yeah,
internship?
that was like a really big one. I also started out with, I did a lot of ads. So we weren't like handling with an advertising agency or anything like that. So I was kind of also the like planned ideas for different advertisements for, TikTok and Instagram and like sponsored posts and things like that. So I actually, one of my biggest accomplishments was I got to make my own ad just for myself, which I actually
Wow.
compared Geojam to Nerd. Like that was my big, just so it was easier for Gen Z. I know some people don't know what Nerd is, but like it's an easier kind of like, okay, like I understand the movie and I also now I can understand the app. So that's what I did, and I think that was like one of the main things where she was like, wow, like that's really cool. And then
Well, it is.
yeah, it was super cool.
Did it get posted? Did that ad? Where was it? Uh, where was it released?
So
Or
it was on TikTok.
oh,
Yeah,
awesome, cool.
and then my last one was, now that I think about it, we hosted Tana Mojo. I don't know if you know Tana Mojo. So we
Yes.
hosted Tana Mojo's Dizzy wine party. So she had just came out with it. So we partnered up with her. Like we would throw her a party. That was a big marketing thing as well. And then Sarah came up to me because I went to the party and she told me like, this is what I want you to do. So she put a lot of faith in me, and I went up and I got to do a confessional, like a confessional room that you see like on reality shows where they sit down and they talk to the producer about things. So what I had to do was I had to get influencers and celebrities, everyone who was at that party, and I had to get them to sit in the confessional and say something about Tana Mojo. And I had to record them and I had to post it on the app. So we had in-app content. So I got to do that, which was, because when I went there, I had no idea what I was going to do. Like, I just thought, maybe I'm just going to grab some content of some of them. But the fact that I had to like I talked to like 50 influencers that I look up to that I'm like, oh wow, it was just a culture shock.
Yeah, and I'm sure. Wow, these people who are coming to Tana
Mm-hmm.
Moja's party. There's probably a lot of recognizable
A
names in there, I'm
lot. And
sure.
I had to go up to her and be like, come to the confessional, which I felt like so pushy, but I'm like, I had to do what I had to do to get some content. Yeah, and I got a lot of
Right.
them to do it and download the app, because the thing is that our strategy was that they would come up there, they would download the app, we would post them on the app, so then we got influencers and celebrities just to gradually get on the app. So,
Yeah. That it's really cool how I'm sure it must have been interesting feeling them like respect you and actually follow you over. That would have been cool. And last question I had about one of your main roles, which is the focus groups, which by the way is very, very difficult to do well. You said you're mostly trying to get the age group of 20 to 25 roughly. How exactly are you able to reach out and get these focus groups?
yeah, so I do, I'm still brand new to it. I actually like brought it up to them because I told them that we needed to get some consumer insights. We needed to get people out of our company to see what they feel about the app before we release something. Just because we like it doesn't mean that everyone else is going to like it. So I started with honestly just getting people from my college, like texting people and just being like, hey, like I would really appreciate it if you came to my apartment, gave me 45 an hour minute of your time, and they also think it's cool too because they're kind of a part of the process of developing this social media app that could potentially blow up. So they'll come in and I'll do like a presentation and like I'll like record them and stuff, take notes, and then that's how I do it. And then also I have the help with my other interns where one of my other interns goes to a school in San Diego, so then she can go get people from San Diego, so we're getting different demographics. And then also one of our interns is actually from Alabama, and she just moved down to LA for school, so we got to reach out to people in in the South,
Somewhere in Alabama.
in Alabama.
Right.
So then we got to get their insights, which is which that was the biggest learning thing ever, because we actually just did that one like last week, and I couldn't believe the differences between California and Alabama and what social media apps they use and stuff. It's actually insane. But yeah, we really just reach out to mutuals.
Right. And so, first of all, that's a much larger project than I had imagined. Or your involvement, it's so much more. You're literally conducting like the whole thing. They're not bringing these focus groups in for you just to present to. You're creating them and asking your other interns to help you outsource these people. Really, really cool. I'm not sure if this is any help at all, and you probably have considered this or heard about it. What I use, well, we've used it before. The LinkedIn, the subscription for the Sales Navigator account gives you 50 cold emails. I've found that's really, really valuable. If you ever run out of needing to reach out to people.
Oh, no, that's really interesting. I'll definitely look into that. That should be helpful.
Yeah, $100 a month, you get 50 emails to whoever on LinkedIn.
Cool.
But that was, you have a really cool position, Natalie, and we're going to be wrapping up soon. I just have a few closing questions about your experience. And the first of those is, I wanted to know, what do you think is the most valuable thing that you've learned at Geojam in your internship?
I think the most valuable thing that I learned is probably just like the connections that you make, like really talking to my the CEO, like Sarah. Like I have a really close relationship with her, and I got to learn a lot about her past and how she became so big and how she was able to make this huge Beverly Hills company, which is just like so insane to me. And she just told me like it's all about like networking and things like that, and like even the other employers there just tell me that I just got so lucky, which I truly did. But I think just like making those connections is so valuable, because I know like in the years coming down, like I will always be connected with her no matter what, whether I'm working there or I'm not working there. Like she's got a lot of connections. So I think that's the main thing. Yeah, super valuable is making connections with everyone. Always, no matter what happens, never have bad blood with people, because it's a small community, especially in LA.
Yeah, people
will remember.
And has this experience kind of solidified your career path where you want to go?
Yeah, I mean, I'm like in school for mostly PR, and right now I'm really doing marketing, like digital marketing pretty much. And I think it made me really realize that I don't have any experience really in like PR, I had like, just the connections between clinics and stuff, but like not like the pitching to press and things like that. I've never done that. So honestly, right now I'm like going to go more towards the social media marketing and the marketing aspect of it all.
Awesome.
Because like what I'm doing, like I can't even believe that like I get like paid to do this. Like it's literally insane to me. Like I don't feel like I'm working half the time. Like she'll be like, hey, come up with ideas for TikTok, or come up with ideas for like how we can make like colleges download our app. I'm like, that's like insane. Like, especially because I used to work at a restaurant and it was absolutely awful. Like, this is amazing.
9-day difference.
Yeah,
it sounds like you struck gold, which is essentially doing something that you really, really enjoy. That's what we're all looking for. And as a closing question, Natalie, I appreciate you for being patient with the length of this interview, but do you have any advice for other students, other people who are interested in getting an internship like the one you have, or for getting internships in general?
I would just say, like, put yourself out there, because that's what I did. That's how I got all my internships. My speech pathology internship, the internship I have right now, is just putting myself out of my comfort zone, really. I just think that what I learned also is that 2 years ago, like, I was honestly so lazy. I thought that everything just would come to me. I thought everything was just going to fall into place. I always told myself that. And then it's so easy to put yourself out there too. Like I said, just, even like go on LinkedIn, like even you just reached out to me on LinkedIn and now we're doing an interview. It's like reaching out to people, even like how scared you are or whatever, like you never know. Because everybody else is going to send in applications. Everybody else is going to do that. Like, how are you going to make yourself different from everybody else? That's the main thing. is everyone likes social media. Everyone likes the marketing aspect. Like, it's super fun job. Of course it is, but there's different characteristics that you need as well in order to do those jobs.
Sure.
So I would really say, like, just learn how to also talk to people. I think that's the main thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's fantastic advice. I think that'll be useful for everybody reading and watching. So I will wrap it up here, Natalie. This was a great interview. Thank you so much for going into detail about everything you've done. I'm looking forward to seeing where you go from here, and let's stay connected.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Of course. Take care.